Hi Beaders, Mandi here with Bead Woven Dreams and coming to you with the Gala Earrings tutorial. Okay, so this is the original here, and this is all nickel with the black teardrop, black bicone. They're post, so I'll show you how to do all of that in this video. Now, looking at the beads here, you're probably wondering, why do I have gold and bronze if they're a nickel? Because as I was doing this as a really good demo, I thought it would be a nice idea to have it in two-tone. I'm going to put these out of the way. I'm going to bring the two-tone. So what we have is the gold on the inside columns, and the bronze make up the outside columns. And this next makes for a really good visual, so whether you're doing it in the nickel or just all one color or two colors, it actually serves as a really nice visual to show what columns are inner, what columns are outer, and then, you know, just go from there. So I'm going to do this tutorial in gold and bronze, and I've got some drops, a drop and a bicone to match. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so to make this earring you'll need about 2 yards per earring. Probably that's a little bit of an overestimate, but I think 2 yards per earring is pretty good. Right now I just have a little bit just to get started. So what you want to do, got size, well, 10, I would say 11 needle actually would be better. So size 11 needle, this is 6-pound fire line. Make sure you've got that in 2 yards. So what you want to do is pick up 4 of your 11s in bronze. So let's just say 4 of your outside columns. And we're going to do tubular herringbone, and we're going to start ladder stitch. Stitch up to the first 2 beads, and stitch down through the second 2. And when you do this, make sure your tail is long enough to tie off later. So about, you know, a good 8 inches would be good enough to tie off. 8, 9 inches, which should be all right. So I have 2 columns here, 1 and 2 of bronze, and I'm going to now pick up 2 gold. And my needle's coming down out of column 2, so I stitch down through column 2. And then stitch up through the new column, column 3. And then pick up 2 more gold. Stitch up through column 3. And down through column 4. So now we have 4 columns, 2 of them being bronze, 2 of them being gold. We're going to go ahead and fold it. I'm coming down out of the gold column. I'm going to stitch up through the first column, the bronze one here. Stitch down through column 4, the gold one. And then back up through the bronze. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my tubular herringbone by doing this. I'm going to exit bronze, pick up 2 beads, and then enter a bronze column. So it looks like this. And notice when I went through the column, I didn't exit 1 row, I went 2 rows down. I'm going to stitch up 2 rows through the inner columns. Gold column is representing the inner column. Pick up 2 gold, and I'm going to stitch down 2 columns like that, and then step up, stitch up to 3. So to making this earring, you want to make sure that instead of just going down one row, as you normally would do herringbone, like go down one row, stitch up one row. We're going down 2 rows and then stitching up 2 rows. And we're maintaining really good tension, but it's not too tight. It's not like, you know, extra tight. It's not loose. So medium tension is what we're going for here. But I like doing 2 rows down. It adds extra thread passes and stiffens up the earring, so it helps it to hold its shape, especially over a very long period of time. So there we have it. As you can see, I'm always working on one side here, the bronze side. Then working on the gold side. So you want to keep doing this until you have 15 rows of tubular herringbone. Right now, I have, there you go. Right now I have 5. So you'd want to add 10 more to this. I've already done that. So here it is right here. I'm gonna go ahead and unwind my thread off the bobbin, all 2 yards. Last time I didn't wind it up on a bobbin and I tried to like unravel it and it was a hot mess. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that creaking sound. It's actually my chair, so apologize for that. All right. So you see here I have 15 rows. Here's the inside columns here and the outside columns. So now what I'm going to do, since I have 15, I want to close off the tops. So exiting the outer column, I'm going to stitch down through the inner column by 2 rows and then back up through the outer column. Okay, and then down through the outer column, up through the inner column, and then back down through the outer column, up through the inner column. So what that has done is made sure the tops are closed off, so it looks just like the bottom. And this part is really important. You want to make sure you do close off the tops at this step. So now I'm exiting on the gold side. So what I want to do is add 4 rows of flat herringbone in gold only by going again 2 rows down. So I'll show you. Pick up 2 beads, stitch down through 2 rows. So I stitch down through 2 rows. The step up will be 3 rows. One, 2. Stitch down 2 rows. Stitch up 3 rows. Do this 2 more times, because right now we have, as you can see, 2 rows from here, 2 rows. Down 2 rows, up 3, and last one, the This is row number 4 of flat herringbone for the inner columns. We go down 2 rows, up 3. So it looks like this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, in the illustration I have it on the PDF, it looks like this, but it doesn't really matter. At least you know you have 4. Okay. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to stitch down through 5 rows of the gold in the gold column. Why 5? So this way I can stitch up through the bronze. So I'll come down, instead of 4, it will just exit right here. I need to get in position to come out of the outer columns, in this case the bronze. So I went down 5, I'm going to come up through 1, and this time I'm going to add 2 rows. 1, 2, so 2 rows of flat herringbone on the external columns on the bronze side. And do know, if you're working with all one color to make these earrings, the steps are exactly the same. I'm just using these 2 colors to show as a really good guide as to what is going where, but it's quite easy to do this with 1 color. But 2 colors, the 2-tone, actually makes it look really fun. Okay. Now in the notes, I mentioned that this tutorial, even though it is a free one, I don't necessarily call this a beginner, and we're about to see why that is. Alright. So you've added your 2 rows of the flat herringbone in bronze. And for the bronze side, I'm just going to call this column B. I'm going to call this column A. So right now I'm exiting column B. Okay? I'm going to stitch down 1 row. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Before I do that, I want to reinforce. So I'm going to just stitch down through 2 rows of column A. Not adding any beads at this moment, and then stitch back up through 2 rows of column B. Just make that nice and reinforced. Okay, now we're ready to do this. Okay, so I'm exiting the top of column B right now. Take my needle and go down 1 row, just 1 of column A. Just that 1. So we're going to do a little bit of an interesting kind of turn here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this component, I'm going to open it so that way it looks like you're looking into the opening of a whale's mouth. Okay, so it looks like that. Looks like it wants to eat you. Okay, so remember, my needle is coming down 1 row out of column A. I'm going to pick up 2 beads of bronze. And this is the outer columns that we're working on. And I'm going to stitch up through column B. And make sure that my thread is falling on the inside, in between these 2 columns, the outer and the inner column. I want my thread to fall inside, not on the outside, not like this. You don't want to fall along, the back. You want it to fall along right here. So I'm going to stitch up that 1 row on column B. I want my beads to fall on the inside of the mouth, like this. And I'm going to move some of these beads out of the way because it's starting to mess with my camera lens. That's better. All right. So here we are. I came down out of column A, picked up 2 beads, and then stitched up through column B. And it looks just like that. Kind of funny looking, right? Now on top here, what I'm going to do, see I'm exiting column B. I'm going to pick up 2 beads. I'm at the top here. Pick up 2 beads, stitch down through column A. And then stitch through this bead here, the turned bead, on column A, and then up through the turn row, and then all the beads of column B. So I'm going through all 3 beads. I'm going to open the mouth so that way you can see what's going on here. There we go. You see exactly what's going on here. So, with this row right here that we did, that little funny turn, it's still column, like, A and B. This is still column A and B. It's just that this row here is the turned row. We'll call this the turn row. Now I'm going to stitch my needle back down the 2 beads on top here of column A, and then the turn row of column A. So now I'm going to pick up 2 beads. This is still column A, still column B. And I'm going to stitch up through 1 row of column B, and then down 2 rows of column A, making sure my thread does not get caught up on the top beads here. Make sure the thread is always falling on this side and not on the other side. So this is what we have so far. And then I'm going to pick up 2 more bronze. I'm exiting column A. I'm going to stitch up through 2 beads of column B. So it looks like this. And then I'm going to stitch down all 3 beads of column A. So now this is what it looks like. So you have the 15 columns, and then it's split. You have 4 columns of gold. And then we did 1, 2 columns of the bronze. 1, 2. And then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So not counting this little extra right here. But, oh, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me add one more row. So coming out of column A, pick up 2 beads, stitch up to column B, and then down through 3 beads of column A. Let's see. There we go. So this is how it looks. So 15 rows of tubular. We did 4 rows of flat in the internal rows in the gold. That's what the gold represents, the internal rows. The external rows, we did 1, 2 of the bronze. Then we did that little turn right here. This is the turn column, turn row. We added this row right here. We added 1, 2, and 3. So technically we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of the bronze, which is for, let's see, will be row 1 and row 2. For row 3 is the turn row. Got it. So 1 row of flat, 2 row of flat, 3 row of flat is a turn row, 4 row, 5 row, 6 row. Okay. So that is a little bit tricky. Go slow and practice. Take your time. Do not rush this. The reason why I say don't rush this is because if you have to rip out your thread and back out, because you are doubling down on your rows, your fire line will get chewed up. So yeah, just go very slowly. Make sure you're doing all the steps right before you have to have, a mess on your hands and you have to rip all that out. Not fun to have 2 yards of chewed fire line. I don't like it. So now what we're going to do, we're going to join these 2 rows again. The external row and the internal row. So right now I'm exiting the bronze on this side here. I'm going to take my needle and go 2 rows down through the gold, and then up 2 rows through the bronze, and I'm going to flip it over. Come down through the bronze, 2 rows, then up 2 rows, excuse me, through the bronze, through the gold. I'm going to go down through 2 rows, through the bronze again, so that way I can exit and start working on the gold side. So you see that? So they split and then they joined again. All right. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 rows. 3 more rows of tubular, meaning I'm going to work on the gold side. So pick up 2 beads of the gold, coming out of the gold column, stitch down through a gold column by 2 rows, then up through 2 rows of the bronze, down through 2 rows of the bronze, and then up to the gold. I do want to give a tip. So I'm going to add 2 more rows of tubular herringbone, just as the way I did it. I do suggest that you work in a manner where your rows are split like this. You see how I can split the herringbone? And you have it split bronze side, gold side, external side, internal side. You do not want to be working in a way where it's split this way, where you have it split along this side, where you have columns on this side, columns on that side. You get very confused as to what you need to do in making these earrings. So you always want to make sure it's split like so. I'm going to add 2 more rows and be right back. Here we are now. This is what it looks like so far. I added the 3 more rows of tubular herringbone, and just as we did right here at the end of 15, I closed them off. The rows are closed off. They're the tops here. Oh wait, no I didn't. Let me go ahead and do that. So you can see, they're not closed off. What was I thinking? I'll go ahead and do that now. Now while I do this, I'll tell you the next step here would be to add 7 rows of flat herringbone on the gold side, on the internal side, the internal columns. And remember, always, you're always going 2 rows down when we're doing this. Unless I specifically say just go 1 row down. And of course I will say so here in the video and so forth, but and in the PDF as well. Whoops. Got my thread tied around one of my push pins. Okay, now they're closed off. So what I'm going to do is take my needle when I come up on the internal side here, still on the internal side, the other column in gold, and here I'm going to add 7 rows. And after I've added my 7, I'm going to come down and I'm going to work on the bronze side. And then we're going to add 4 rows of flat herringbone in bronze. So 7 on this side, 4 on this side. 7 on the gold, 4 on the bronze, 7 on the internal columns, 4 on the external columns. Alright, so here we are now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gold, 4 bronze. So 7 internal columns, flat herringbone on the internal side, and then 4 on the external side, 4 rows of flat herringbone. So just like I did here, where after I got to the end of the required rows for the flat herringbone, before I did the turn, I reinforced. So you would take your needle and like pry. Okay. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now those last 2 rows are reinforced. Now we're going to do our turn column. So now we're going to add 5 more rows to this right here. So we have 4. We're going to add 5, but remember we have that turn row. So let's say I'm going to call this column A and B. So right now I'm exiting column A because after we did all our turning around here, our needle kind of switched from one column to the next, which is fine. So I'm going to open up its mouth again. So I'm coming out of column A. I'll switch down to column B. Just one row of column B. And then we're going to do our turn row by picking up 2 beads. And then stitching up through column A. Making sure our thread and our beads are on the inside of the mouth. Like so. So it's like they have teeth. Or it has teeth. So it looks like this. And remember, this here is the 4th row. We could just count it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is the 4th row, making this turn row the 5th row right here. And now we're on top of the 4th row. Remember, we add 2 beads to the top here. So basically coming out of column A right here, we're going to stitch down through column B, so the 4th row and the 5th row, which is the turn row. So there, stitch down through row 4, and then this is row 5 right here, like so. And then we're going to reinforce both columns. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to call this row here, where we do the turn, I'm going to call them the angled row, because essentially it does look angled. So it is a different turn. I'm also going to call it angled. Whatever it works for you. I'm going to call it the angled row. So stitch up through column A here. I'm trying to go up through all 3 beads, but it's not letting me. And then these 2 rows here. And then we're going to come down through column B, 2 rows. And then we're going to go down. This is column B, and this is this row right here, row 5. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add 4 rows of flat herringbone to where we are right now. So this is 5, so we're going to do 6, 7, 8, and 9. And the same way that I showed you right here. Remember we added a 1, 2, 3, and 4? We're going to do the same thing here. 4. Alright, so this is how it looks now. Actually, I'll turn it up so you can kind of see where we are in the earring upside down. You're kind of confused a little bit. But this is where we are now. And here is where we're going to bring the 2 columns, the external and the internal columns together. Let's see, with bronze, okay. Make sure I was exiting the right bead. And then after you join, what you're going to do is you're going to add, excuse me, you're going to add 3 rows of tubular herringbone. Then after you add those 3, you're going to close off the tops, just like we're doing right now. We're bringing them together. And then we're going to do there. So we're going to add 3 rows of tubular herringbone. And then we're going to add 4 rows of gold, flat. And then we're going to add 3 rows of bronze, flat. And then we're going to do that 1 angled row. So you got 1, 2, 3 in bronze. The 4th row will be the turned angled row. Then you add 2 more rows of flat to that, and then we join back together. Just kind of preparing, giving you the future steps now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you how it looks. So this is where we are right now. So remember, we were right here. After we added our total of 7 gold here, and then we did 4, and then we added the turn, and then we did 4 more. So then from here, after we joined the 2 columns, we had 1, 2, 3 rows of tubular herringbone. Then we close out the tops. And then we added 1, 2, 3, 4 of flat herringbone in gold. And then 1, 2, 3 of bronze. And then we did the angled, the turn angled row right here. And then 1 and 2. So once again, they're open. So you can see. So we're just gonna, again, close them off like we did. And then from here, we're almost done actually. What we do is after we join these 2 columns, the internal and the external columns together, we have 13 rows of tubular herringbone. Not 15, 13. It sounds like, after we're almost done and you want to add like this part right here, but you want to add 15, but we only want to add 13 because by bringing these 2 columns together, like we're doing right now, this is essentially the first 2 rows of this section right here. This is the first 2 of the 15. So you see? That's the first 2. So you just add 13 on top. What was the other thing I wanted to tell you? Oh, yeah, okay. So I also want to let you guys know that the reason why we want to have tension that's kind of on the loose side, because again, we're doubling down for that extra structure, but we don't want it to be too tight. We want to be able to bend this. And so you see it's very flexible, but it's holding its shape like really well. So it's not as flexible as a rope, and it's not like, really stiff. So it's like the perfect medium, perfect tension. Everything about it is just absolutely perfect. You want to maintain really good tension, like I would say medium tension. Not really loose, not too tight, but it's just a happy medium, if you can say. And you can tell, like if it's too tight, like you should be able to bend this. If you can't bend it, then your tension was way too tight. So you should still be able to bend. So this is how it's looking so far. We're almost done. So I'm going to go ahead and add the 13 rows. And then what we're going to do once we get to the top is we're going to bring the 2 sides of the earring together at 1, 2, and 3. So rows 1, 2, and 3, both sides, we're going to stitch it together that way. And then we'll work on the top, and then we will be done. So let me go ahead and finish adding the other 13 rows of tubular herringbone. I'll be right back. Okay, so I've added the 13 rows on top of the 2 that are right here. 1, 2, 13. So we have 15 on both sides. And this is how the earring looks. So it's perfectly mirrored on both sides. The little prongs here are kind of, you know, going in the direction you don't want them. You can just, you know, form them with your fingers. Same thing with here. You can form that, form that. There we go. So it'll look like that. Alright, so after I added the 13 rows and closed off the tops, stitch them together right here. I made sure to come down 3 rows on the gold, on the internal column. So either on this side or this side, doesn't really matter, because what we're going to do, we're going to bring the earring to a close, like so. And you can see I can easily bend this and form it with my fingers. Okay. Get my tail end out of the way. There we go. So remember, I come down 3 rows, which means on the other side here, I come up 3 rows, like so. And bring it together. And then go down 3 rows. And then up 3 rows. And then pull. I flip it over. Then do the gold. I'm going to repeat the steps on this side too. Down 3, up 3, and then down 3 again. And this is where we're going to add our dangle in the center of the earring. So we have it nicely together. And it might take, again, a little bit of forming with your fingers. That's fine. You can easily do that. Not a problem. Okay. So we have it like this. This little section right here kind of went off to an angle, so let me see if I can try to fix that somehow. It was a little weird. So I'm going to go down 1 row, okay. Oh, that really helped. Yeah, much better. Then I'm going to come up through the bronze on the side here. Making a correction on the fly. And then I'm going to come back down to 3 gold again, okay? All right. From here, we're going to pick up 9 gold, and then here's our little drop right here. And it's a top drill drop, and I don't know, I think this might be like a, this is not that big, so maybe like a 6 by 10, I think, but you know, whatever the size drop you'd like to use, because I know these drops are bigger. I believe this is, I can't even remember if it's an 11 by 6, I'm not sure. But, I mean, whatever top drill drop you like to fit in there, it doesn't really matter. It's left up to you, so it doesn't have to be a particular size. But what I do is I pick up 7 gold, 5, 6, 7. Okay, then I'm going to pick up my drop and stitch through the top, like so. Then I pick up 2 more gold. So 7, drop 2. And then I'm going to skip these 2 beads right here, the 2 closest to the drop, and then stitch up through the 5. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Let's see. Sorry, that original number is not 7, it's 9. Let me back out. So there. Now it's 9. And then we stitch through our drop. And then I pick up 2 gold. And then we skip the 2 beads closest to the drop, and then we're going to stitch up through the 7. Like so. Just like that. And remember, we came down out of this side right here, this side of the column of gold, so that means we got to stitch up through this side right here. There we go. So now we have our drop in the center. Of our earring. And this is on the front side of the earring. This would be the back side of the earring. And this is good to keep in mind, so that way you know where to place your the 6mm flat glue-on post. I have a video for this. Don't worry, I'll show you how to do this. But I've already made this. This is already completed, so I could just stitch it through. So this is the front of the earring. You want to make sure that this is facing the front too. You don't want it to be like this. See what I mean? Because this side here, it looks more set in, like kind of recessed. So this here is more to the front, so you want to make sure this is the front, this is facing the front. Okay. So we're almost done. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to stitch down through the bronze here, just 1 row, and then up 1 row on this side. And now we're going to create the top by adding 4 rows. I'm sorry, 4 rows of bronze in flat herringbone. Alright, so I added the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I reinforced these top 2 rows. And then I'm going to do that turn. Coming out of column B, stitch down through column A. Sorry, coming out of column B, stitch down through column A. Pick up 2 beads. And we're going to do that turn, make that angle row right here, except we're not going to add any beads on the top here. We're going to reinforce without adding any beads to the top. Making sure we don't get our thread around anything, like the dangle here or the prong part here on the earring. Okay. And then we're going to add 2 more rows. A flat herringbone in the bronze. There's one. And then there's 2. So basically what has happened is that you've kind of made this like this tent. That's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Here's a 4th one right here at the center. In the corner, you have 1, 2, 3. So you have 3 rows on both sides, and they all come together with this angle. Well, this is the angled row right here. So that's how it looks. But how it looks is like they came together and are sharing this point right here. All right, so now I'm going to connect this here, part of the flat herringbone, to the external rows right here. And I'm going to try to go 2 rows down. And I'm going to try to reinforce this too. I'm running out of thread. I think you might need a little bit more. Well, no, I think 2 yards is still good. I would say 2 yards is still good. Hold on. Okay. Had the tail end wrapped around in a funky way. So yeah, 2 yards is still really good for this, because I have enough to tie off. And I remember our tail end. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with our tail end here in a bit. So I'm just creating this join, bringing them together. Like so. And I'm really happy with the way that's connected. So I'm going to tie off right here. I'm taking my needle, I'm stitching right between the 2 columns here. Like say column A, B, stitching right between columns A and B, like so. So my needle just pops like right through, creating a loop, stitching through the loop, and making sure my loop falls in between the 2 beads where my needle has exited, right here and here. So, there. So my thread is exited between these 2 beads right here. Making sure I stitch under the thread, make a loop, stitch through the loop, and pull, making sure my thread falls in between the 2 beads I'm exiting. Now, what I'm going to do with the rest of this tail end right here is I'm going to add the flat glue on post that I have a bezel bicone on. Okay. So I'm going to cut off this here because it's starting to annoy me. There. Okay. So this is our tail end that we left. Is about 8 inches, right? And so I'm exiting the bronze right here, and I'm going in this direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up until I exit this bead right here. This one right here at the top. And since I'm done with my seed beads, I'm going to put them out of the way. Okay. So I'm exiting in the back right here, but I'm exiting the top. And remember, this is the front of the earring, because you can see where the dangle is. And this is the back of the earring. Okay. So again, you have an additional video, the extra video, that shows you how to make this flat glue-on post into a bezeled. It has a bezel bicone on top of it. And then you have these corner beads right here at the bottom that you can sew through. So what I do is I'm exiting the top bead right here at the back. I'm going to stitch through the bottom corner bead of my bezel, making sure it's facing frontwards like this, and then I stitch back down through the bead that I exited on the back, just like this. Make sure to turn the bezel in the right orientation. Then what I do, I take my needle, I'm going to stitch it through our 10th right here, the triangle, just the space, no beads, just stitching through the space. And then I'm going to stitch through this top bead here on the front. And then stitch through the bottom corner bead of the bezeled glue-on post, and then back down through the top of our earring. And that's how you do that. Okay. And then I'll find a, sometimes you can, like, if you want to, you can reinforce that, stitching back through a triangle, stitching back up through the back, the bottom corner bead of the bezeled glue-on post, back down, to the bead in the back through the triangle, turn around to the front, up, there's a bottom bead, bottom corner bead of that bezel, and then back down through the front. And doing that, believe it or not, keeps the orientation of the bezeled glue-on post facing the front. Always. It will never switch around. It will always be in the front. And that's how you do that. Alright, so now, where am I? Let's see. We'll stitch through. I want to find a nice suitable place to tie off. I think right here is good. Same just like I did before. Cut. We're done. And there's the earrings. So it looks a little floppy. Take some time and just form it with your fingers. I think my tension might have been just a little too loose. I'm making the earring, but that's okay. Just a little nicely form it. But once you form it, it holds its shape. And so here it is right here. And you can tell this is the tension was much tighter here than this one. Just holding the shape a little better. So again, find a happy medium. You want to maybe err on the side of tight, so you don't want it to be too loose. But there you go. That's how you make the Gala earrings. And I really like the way they came out, so I'm going to wear these for a while just to show them off. I think they're absolutely really beautiful. And I've been wearing these occasionally. You see the original design right here. Like I said, you can do it all one tone, or you can do it in 2 tones. So that's how you make the Gala earrings. I apologize for making this video so long, but there was a lot to cover and a lot to explain. And I didn't want to leave anything out or leave any beaders hanging. And again, as I said in the beginning of this video, that while this is a free tutorial, I definitely will not say this is a beginner, but due to the fact that it is a free tutorial, you're not, losing anything if you give it a try. So I would say give it a try. You might actually surprise yourself. Sometimes if we just take that extra step and just, challenge ourselves to try something that we think is outside of our skill set, we might surprise ourselves and say, whoa, find out we can actually accomplish that. So, it might be a little intimidating, but try anyway. You never know until you do. So there you go. Those are the earrings. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me. You can leave a comment or get me on Facebook, or send me a message, email me, however you want to get in contact with me if you have any questions. But there you go. That should do it. So enjoy wearing your new earrings. I know I will. And I will see you in my next video. Take care. Happy beading. Bye-bye.